Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So when we look at question number one, we have to simplify the square root. You cannot leave a negative underneath the square root. So your first step is to always take that out. Now you're gonna build a cake with that 27. And we're looking for a pair, and we have a pair of threes that can come out. So we have a 3 that can come out. And then you have underneath the square root, you have the 3 that did not have a partner. And the square root of -1 is I. So I'm going to put that I right here. So that is your final answer. So the final answer would be 3I square root of 3. For question number 2, so there's no plus sign, there's no minus sign in between. So that means we're multiplying. So let's make our box and multiply this together. So 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15I. 2 times -7I is -14I. And then this last square, we have -21I squared. I'm going to write that off to the side. So the second rule, going back to Friday's lesson, is that I squared is equal to -1. So -21 times -1 means that we have a positive 21 in this square. So we're going to add together our real numbers. So that's the 10 and the 21. And that adds together to give us 31. And then we're going to add our imaginaries. -14I plus 15I is positive 1I. And that will be your final answer for number 2. For question 3, we have to graph a quadratic. So I'm going to put our parent table for if you square these 4 numbers or 5 numbers, you get 4, 1, 0, 1, 4. And in this example, A is 2, H is 1, K is -4. So let's multiply our Y values by A and add K. So take a moment, pull out your calculators to find your 5 new Y values. And then for your X values, you're going to add the H, which is 1. So take a moment to find out your new X and Y and sketch your graph. So when we find our new x values, you should have -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And then you have, for your y values, you have 8 minus 4, which is 4. This is -2, and this is -4. So -1 down 4. Oops, sorry. -1 up 4. And then we have 0, -2. And then we have 1, -4. And then we make our little U-turn up. And it should look something like this. So your domain is all real numbers. And when you look at your y values, the lowest number is -4, and everything else is greater than -4. So it would be -4 to infinity. Okay, so we're going to start our new material. Go ahead and go to page 265 in your Agile Mind book. We're going to answer some questions about this function. And go ahead and add arrows. So this has an arrow that goes up, and then on the right side, it goes down. All right, so a couple things you want to write in your notes is that if it's an odd degree, the arrows are opposite direction. And if it's even, it's the same direction. So one side is going up and the other side goes down. So that tells me that this is an odd degree function. So let's circle odd because the arrows in this graph go in opposite directions. The leading coefficient is determined by the right arrow, so the right side, which is this side. So on this side, because it's going down, then that tells me this is negative. So if the right side goes down, it's negative. But if the right side goes up, it's positive. So the end behavior, when it says X, this is a symbol, it means approaches. So this represents the left arrow, and this is the right arrow. So on the left side, the arrow is going up. So we're going to say f of x is positive. That's how you would say that. This notation means that it's going up on the left. So this side goes up, so that would be my notation. And then, oops, I did not mean the right arrow. I meant to say right. Okay, so the right arrow is going down. And the way you show that is you say f of x, and then you would say it's going down. And the way to say it goes down is you put a negative in front of the infinity. Your zeros, these are your x-intercepts. That's what this represents. So when I'm looking at this graph, I see I'm going to put dots where we see our x-intercepts. So we have one here. That's a 0. We have one here. We have one there. And we have one here. So there's 4. So our first one is in between -6 and -4. So we'll just say that that's -5, 0. Our second one is right here. That's at -1, 0. The third one is at +4, 0. And the last one is at 7, 0. And those would be your zeros. If you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat at any time or unmute yourself and ask the questions. We're going to look at a couple more graphs before we end for today. So I'm going to keep moving forward here. Let's look at this same page, page 265. We're going to answer the same questions. All right, so the first thing I like to do is add the arrows. So again, this would be odd. And I know that it's odd because we have opposite arrows. Opposite arrows. One side goes up and the other side goes down. This one, though, is positive because the right arrow, because this is your right arrow. So this is the right side. This is the left side. So I know that it's positive because the right side is going up. Right arrow is going up. So that means it's positive. Every single odd degree function, if it's an odd degree, your domain and range is going to be all real numbers for both. And we'll talk about an even later. But if you see a graph where one side has arrow going up and the other side has an arrow going down, that means that your domain and range will both be all real numbers. So the left arrow is going down. So we're going to say f of x is approaching negative infinity because it goes down on the left. On the right side is going up. So f of x approaches positive infinity on the right. And I'm going to put some dots where we have our zeros. So we have an x-intercept here. We have one there. That's number 3. Got 4. So this one has 5. So take about 60 seconds and see if you can write those as ordered pairs, where I put those 5 green dots. So the first one is at -5, 0. The second one looks like that's about -3, 0. And then we have one at the origin, which is 0, 0. Then we have one at +3. And the last one is at 6. Okay, so that's all of our lesson for today. Remember that the next chapter test is the final. I'm going to share that schedule with you when I have it. Start working on Unit 6 homework 2. We're going to continue working on the material tomorrow, so do what you can do. But please note, if you check Skyward, if you have any missing assignments for Unit 5, Unit 5 closes tomorrow at 11:59. So please, please, please make sure you get those assignments submitted. I am going to change your grade. So if you look and notice that you have a low homework grade, I am going to go in and make those grades out of for completion. So I grade for completion, but I can't round up the grades until the window closes, and the window closes tomorrow at midnight. So please take that time and look and see if you have any missing assignments to submit before the deadline closes. If you don't have any further questions, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.